This is going to go so well. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cubist. My name is Bill Corey. I am the Cubist, and the giggling has already started, which means the show is live, and that's a good sign. Yeah, we took a week off for personal reasons. Those of you that follow on Twitter might have seen some stuff about that, but everybody's good. Everybody's great, and I'm excited to talk games again because I feel like it's been forever. So let's start from my left to my right on the little screen down here. I have Brandon Kemp from the What Did You Play This Week podcast thing. Hello, Brandon.
Hello, Bill. How's it going?
Excellent, sir. Excellent. Solid B+.
Good.
Always room for improvement, but you'll still get you on the honor roll, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We have
those fat relative checks.
Yes.
Anyway, carry on.
Wait, what? I don't know what that means. All right. The center square in Hollywood Squares terms is Miss Kimberly Rebia. Hello, Kimberly.
Hello.
The most prepared member of the panel. We love you. How are you?
Good. Not at all scrambling to figure out what game I'm going to talk about right now.
Well, to be fair, Kimberly, you've been traveling mostly nonstop for many days now. So,
Yeah.
But luckily, you take pictures of your games and post them. So at the very least, we can figure out what you've played and talk to you about them.
There we go.
There you go. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Patrick Hillier. Also, What Did You Play This Week podcast thing, and General Pun Czar, I believe is what we're supposed to call you now. Is that your official title?
At least when I'm on Google Hangouts. Hey, thanks for having me back.
Absolutely.
Origins.
Oh, I'm sorry, say it again.
I'm counting the days until Origins.
That explains why you've hung Pikachu's butt near your
exactly
head.
It.
I know the gag. I have not been under Pikachu's butt yet, but I'm actually
Poor phrasing in general, Bill.
No. I think I phrased it exactly how I meant it. I think that's a thing.
I think it came out okay.
So here's your first piece of. I don't know if this even counts as news or if anybody cares, but I am already beginning the planning process for Origins 2018. So yes, as sad as it is, I have to plan a year ahead of time, but Origins next year is on the calendar. So so keep Pikachu healthy for me.
Okay.
All right. Very good. So ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be our first episode of the Deep Dive series of episodes. So what we're going to do is we teased it 2 weeks ago. We almost actually did it 2 weeks ago, and then we ran out of time because we got so deep into the Spiel des Jahres award nominees. What this is going to be is the format of the show up until now has always been a special guest, and then we talk with that special guest about some topic that is relative to that person. Deep Dive, we're going to change gears a little bit, and the show is going to be about a specific game instead, and we're going to just kind of dig really deeply into it. Kimberly, this is Kimberly's idea, and I think it's a great one. The idea is, I don't want to hate on Cult of the New because I'm definitely a card-carrying member, but I also think that it's good for us to go with a critical eye and look back at stuff that maybe we take for granted nowadays. And so tonight's going to be the first of those episodes. We're going to talk Carcassonne, which I'm really excited to talk about. I have lots of thoughts on this one. So I played a refresher game of it today.
I should have.
Just to kind of remind me about how I think about this game. And so I'm excited for this one. Speaking of stuff I've played recently, what have we all played recently? Patrick, have you gotten to do any gaming lately?
Not a lot, but speaking of the Spiel des Jahres, your SDJ, I went ahead and ordered King Domino after it got the nom. I played that with one Mason Weaver, and I'm not sure who else. I think Megan and maybe Daniel at BGG last fall, and I remember liking it and thinking, I better keep an eye on this game because I probably will pick it up eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And the buzz kind of reminded me of it, and therefore I decided there's airplanes or something flying over Brandon.
Children.
And so I ordered that, and we busted it out the other night after a longer game, just sort of the end of the night, fun kind of way to end the game. So end the night.
Cool.
But I only played it once recently.
We've talked about this on a couple episodes. We talked about it during Spiel des Jahres a couple weeks ago, and then Kimberly had this as her game on the episode before that, I want to say. So yeah. I feel like we've hit on this one a couple times, which is awesome because I like that we keep getting different opinions on it. So we've talked about the gameplay really fast. What is your feeling on it? Like, what kind of a vibe does it give you? Is it on the lighter? I mean, it's pretty light, right?
Well, it's light in that it's fast. I don't necessarily think it's light that it doesn't make you think.
Okay.
Especially because you're not getting all the tiles. You got to kind of take that into some consideration. We were playing 3-player, and that I had this great little desert going, and then I didn't get any desert grounds at all, and it scored 0. There's interesting strategy in taking player order. Jim was grumbling about the fact that he kept going last, yet he ended up winning the game. There's a little bit more to it than it meets the eye when you first get it. It looks kind of like a kid's game when you open the package with the art. But I think there's some strategy there that definitely warrants more study. And then, of course, there's the suggested advanced rules of the 7x7 if you want to do 2-player, or scoring if you keep your thing in the dead center, and some other things like that we didn't even begin to look at into.
Gotcha. Okay. So one thing that I'm really curious about this game specifically, and I don't know that we talked about it in the previous episodes, and if we did, I apologize. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a show, is how accessible you think this game is going to be to maybe newer gamers. Does this count as a gateway game?
I think so. I think it starts off real simple and can grow. So that's one of the reasons I got it, is because my wife and I game, and she's definitely not a heavy gamer.
Right.
And this would be something I think would be pretty accessible to her. And she says she's not a heavy gamer, but actually she creamed me in Patchwork the other day. I think it was -9 to 34. So, but anyway, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I told you it wasn't an airplane.
Yeah, there you go. It's true. Very cool.
Anyway, so anyway, yeah, it's definitely something that I think she would enjoy, and then we would, if we continue to play it, would be something that we would both get better at.
Very cool. So on the Cubist scale, what do you think? Buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it?
Oh, definitely buy it. I mean, it's really cheap and good quality components, and you can't go wrong with Bruno Cathal.
Yeah, for sure. Very cool. All right. Well, I'm literally going to look and buy it maybe right now. So
it's like $15.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say.
Well,
It's going to be difficult to find soon, I think, since it got the nom.
That's why I got it. I just
blue orange, isn't it? They'll keep stuff in print fairly well.
It's blue orange, but Dr. Eureka is really difficult to find for a while.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I need to try their new one, the one with the ice cream.
Which one?
Gelato.
Yeah.
Gelato.
The one with the ice cream. I think we just got a very serious insight into my friend Brandon's brain there. This one has ice cream. Yes.
It's the Dippin' Dots game.
God. The ice cream of the future.
Baseball. Very good. Very good. Kimberly, you've been traveling a lot, but I know you got to do a little bit of gaming, right?
I have been traveling a lot. We went to Maine one weekend, and then we were in Virginia this last weekend. So really the only things we played much of are the Pack of games by Chris Handy.
Mm-hmm.
All of those little bubblegum sized games. I guess I could just choose one to talk about for you.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that's a good idea.
How about Woo? We'll go with Woo, WOO. It is a little classic trick-taking game. I believe it's based off of another pre-existing trick-taker that I'm not familiar with, unfortunately. It's pretty standard in the trick-taking way, except for you are limited to, I believe, 2, 3, 4, and 10s of each suit. And they're by color. Matt will correct me in the chat, I'm sure, in a second here. And it's if you play on suit, on color, whatever, just like you do in any other trick taker if you can. But the real difference here is that you flip them over when you win a trick. You can't see it, and your goal is to play and be the first one to hit 66 points. So you have to also be tracking what your hand is worth each time you win a trick.
Okay.
And if you declare that you're there too early, obviously you lose, and the other person gets the point. And there we go. Matt said it in the Schnapsin or something is what it's based off of. And if you hit 66 correctly, you get 1 point, and you're trying to get towards 7 points total. So you play rounds until somebody hits that. Or if you hit 66 and the other player is below 33, I believe you get 2 points.
Okay.
So it can be a little bit swingy, but it's fun. It's clever. It's a pack of gum, you know.
Yeah. Those pack of games, you know, it's so unfair, but I judge them so harshly based on like the gimmick, right? Like for some reason it bothers me. And so I've never played any of them, but every time I hear somebody talk about them, they talk about how good the actual games are. I just need to get over myself and just
They're definitely great. I fit 3 of them into my little tiny clutch for the wedding this weekend. So
those are from Wave 2, that Woo one.
Woo, yeah.
It's from the second wave.
It's in the second wave, yeah. I will take your word on that. I don't know
the
Matt's games. We've also played some of the other ones too, but Woo's a pretty solid one. I enjoy it.
Very cool. All right, so buy it, play it, forget it, or burn it.
I think if you like little 2-player trick takers, I think it's $6 usually to buy each one individually. So I'd say buy it.
Yeah, I think it's there. So I've noticed one of the things that we think about is that it's so easy once the price point gets below a certain point that it just becomes a no-brainer, right? Like in any other aspect of our lives, we would be like, well, I don't know, am I going to spend $6 on a thing I might lose in the laundry, you know? But for this, it's like, it just seems like such a no-brainer. Yeah, I agree. I just need to, I need to break down and just do it.
So tiny. I think with the Kickstarter, they were like $30 for all of them.
Yep.
It's a pretty good deal. And it came with a cute little carrying case. It looks like something you'd stick a Game Boy in. Oh my gosh, is that what those are called now?
Is that a Game Boy?
Might not be what they're called anymore.
I believe the DS is the thing that you're thinking of.
There we go.
There you go.
What's the newest thing now? No, there's a
Switch.
Switch, thank you. Yeah.
That one I knew, but
I was going with the handheld one, like the one that is always handheld.
How big is the Switch? I have no idea.
It's a console that can be a tablet.
Yep.
Oh.
It can be both. Dear Lord.
I keep up to current trends, kids.
Yes.
You can even play split screen on that little tablet. It's
You're
amazing.
good. You are definitely good at the things.
I'm good at all of the things.
That's what I said. Yeah, absolutely. All right, very good. So, vacuum food game called and which one is this? This is Woo.
Did you say vacuum game?
Vacuum food. The games that vacuum food is what my dad always called stuff that was so small that if you dropped it on the floor, it would get sucked up in the vacuum cleaner.
All right. That seems
food.
reasonable.
There you
We're
go.
going to go ahead and say it's Chris Handy's pack of games. Woo.
Yes.
Oh.
Whatever. I'm allowed to make jokes about stuff like that. Damn it. Fine. Moving on. Brandon, what have you played?
I haven't played a whole lot. I'm just getting over the flu and nobody wanted to be around me. So I decided to pass that on to my family, and then I didn't want to be around them. And I don't do the solo games like other people do. So I really haven't played much of anything. But I did finally get a play of, and I'm going to say it horribly because my Spanish is non-existent, is Oaxaca.
I'm sorry.
Or you could just call it Oaxaca.
Yes.
Yes.
Which would be how you would find it on spelling wise. Which is the new game coming next week on Kickstarter from Sarah Reed and her husband Will, who did Project Dreamscape. So I got that played today. It's a neat little game where you're basically, and I don't know the history. I'm so horrible. I don't read theme very much until I played the game a couple times. I just want to know how I'm playing it. But apparently this place in Mexico is really well known for crafts and things like that. And so basically what you're doing is you're trying to be the best craft family and make crafts and sell them in your marketplace. It's really neat dice allocation in it because everything seems to have dice allocation in it nowadays.
Sure.
I like dice allocation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just previewed 0 Hour, which is all dice allocation. I'm doing Oaxaca this week, so that's more dice allocation. Apparently, I just can't get rid of it. But this is really good. If you played Project Dreamscape, you know that they like to, Will and Sarah like chaining of cards and things, like, so you do this, then that's going to be able to allow you to do this, to do this, to do this. to get the most out of one turn. And essentially, it's like one action. And you've just taken 15 things and done them. I think there's a lot of magic in their history, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So this kind of does that as well, where you're basically, because some of the goods, once you've created them and crafted them, they're going to cause you to have special abilities. They're going to act as wild dice, or they're going to act as whatever kind of die you want them to. And then when you activate them, you don't tap them, you turn them sideways, and and it's really neat. Basically, essentially you roll 5 dice, you pick which ones you want to keep, re-roll the rest, and then you're stuck with what you got. Then those dice can be used to do different things. Like you can take your 2 and you can buy from the 2 stack of cards. They're all sorts of different crafts, like jewelry, tin art, and things like that. And so you buy, and that's how you're going to gather stuff that you're going to create. And then you put your resources down, or what you're going to crafting stuff, supplies, I don't know what it's called, on top of that. And so then you could use that same number of the die that you took from that stack to craft it instead of taking cards from it. So you're doing that all during it, and you're just basically trying to get as much action out of one turn as you possibly can. And it's really fun to find those little combos that are going to allow you to do like 8, 9 things, whereas everybody else is going, I'm going to move this one die over here, and your turn.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. But it was the first time I played it, so we're gonna run it through the ringer some more this week.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, I definitely understand where you feel like it sounds like the magic comes through real strong, right? Like there's a whole.
It's nothing to do with magic. It's just that whole.
But the vibe of creating combos in
Yes.
order to get the most out of every turn. Yeah.
And Project Dreamscape had that, because that's basically all you were doing in Project Dreamscape, right? Is you're building those combos, those chains together of dreams. So yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So we understanding that it is a first impression only, because
it is first impression only. I don't know the price on it. She hasn't told me any of that information.
It was going to be kind of high because it was really arts and craftsy, and
yeah. I don't know what kind of things. I mean, basically, I'm using generic 6-sided dice, that everybody has, and some pink cubes that I think I got from some other prototype for my resource cube. So I'm sure they can do it up to a really nice. Yeah, they did have like $100 nice wooden crafted one of some sort, right? But then I think they're going to have a more basic version as well.
Yeah, probably.
I'm going to back it because I'm a sucker for those kind of little games that play in 20 to 40 minutes, and it's Kickstarter, and I have a disease.
It's funny.
Named that yet, Brandon?
What's that?
Your Kickstarter disease. Have we named it?
No, we have not.
I think Brandonitis is a solid. Like that seems like pretty. I mean, that's easy. I know it's a.
But I looked. I'm only at really like 75 overall backed.
Oh, that's not that bad.
No, it's not. But I've also backed and then unbacked like 60.
There's that.
I've never done that.
I'm actually glad that you brought this up. So I have not, like, they didn't ask me to do anything. So just so we're clear, nothing that I'm about to talk about is sponsored or even asked for in any way. But did you guys see the back or the Kickstarter for? And I'm sorry, I'm going to try and pull it up really fast because it just popped into my head. The trays. Oh darn it! Now I can't.
The Dogmite games.
Yes. Have you seen these things?
I have.
Component
And
collector. There we go.
I was this close to doing it, and I'll tell you why I won't.
Okay. Well, let me get through the description for people that haven't already done this. So what this is this is a set of hardwood bit trays. The idea behind them is that they are basically cups and card holders and whatever made of flat pieces of hardwood. So they're set up like tiles, and they have magnets built into the sides of them, so that way you can create like a tableau for whatever game that you want these for. So the idea, I think they pitch it as sort of like, it seems like they sell it as a role-playing game is one of the things that they set it at, or like, so the idea is you could have like your pieces here or whatever, or, like having your own personal tabs organization for specific games or whatever. And the idea behind it is that it comes in one big package. It's a very nice looking, 8 tiles and a dice tray for however much money it is. And then, and then you can ramp up, you can spend more money for nicer woods, right? So they're sort of in the whole, wormwood.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're kind of in that same niche, right? That they're going for more high-end craftsmanship style in what they're in what they're selling.
They do.
And I backed it. So, and I backed it because, and as anybody that's gamed with me in real life knows, I'm a big fan of adding the little things around the game as well. Like you played Eclipse with me, Patrick. You can attest to this. Is I don't just have the game. I also have to have the funky trays for this and extra bits for that. You know, this is kind of how I roll. So I love this idea, and I like the idea of something that looks a little nicer on the table that'll do this same thing. So I backed it.
Yep.
Now it's not done yet, so I reserve the right to. Like if I change my mind, but
beautiful trays.
They are really cool.
I just can't imagine being that guy who pulls into the game day and sits my personal trays out there and stares at everybody else's. They've got their stuff strewn everywhere. I can't do. I couldn't do it.
No, and then you just sit back.
Don't mind me. I'm going to
back.
be organized. You people,
you plebeians want to just sit with your places in a, you know, they're stuffing random piles like a bunch of noobs. Yeah,
exactly. That's why I'm not backing it. Because if I was going to buy it, I'd have to buy 4 sets, right?
Yeah,
because you're going to at least play 4 players, you know, or 3, I guess, in my house.
Somebody tweeted about this today too. I forget who.
Matt,
they really are beautiful.
Matt Roy in the chat was asking what the name of this is. It's called The Component Collector.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Kickstarter right now.
And it's
you can pledge. Yeah, it's Dogmite. So their stuff's pretty good. You can pledge for, so the lowest tier, the classic, is the cheapest one, but then you are stuck with the 8 things they want to give you,
which are well balanced.
Yeah, they're fine. I have a specific mission in mind for these things. Like I know what I want to do with them already, having looked at the tiles. And so for $5 more, you get what I think is a slightly prettier wood. I like the color a little better, and you get to pick which 8 tiles you want.
Yeah.
So to me, like, I think it's basically $49 to get, plus shipping or whatever, to get a kit that would work great at the table for game days at my house. This is not something I would ever take anywhere outside of my house. This would be the thing that lives at my house that I use for gaming. But yeah, it's sweet. It's pretty neat stuff. I like it.
We have veered far off track, boys.
Yeah, that's no. This is my review thingy.
I think this one here would work good for Carcassonne.
Instead of a game. All right.
Whatever. We can talk about stuff too. Hell, I was going to talk about.
We're almost half of the way through.
You can't do math, lady.
We are 23 minutes in.
Yes, I know. You are like the most clock watchery of clock watchers. Stop it.
I know. And I'm also looking at
why you pay her the big bucks.
Kickstarter now, Bill.
Yes. All right. Fine. Kimberly, we're done talking about you. All right. So let's you're right though, because we do want to give it the appropriate amount of time. So this is the first. Will you stop? Yes. Dial the smug down, young lady. We're good.
I'm just saying, poor Carcassonne got bumped last time.
Yeah, that was your fault. All right, so here we go. It's time for our first deep dive show. So this is what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Is we are going to dig real deep into a classic game, and this week it's Carcassonne. So for those of you, if you haven't played Carcassonne, I don't know how to help you. But it is Klaus Jürgen Reda, I believe is how you pronounce. I don't know. That's how you pronounce the name. That's how I'm going to go with. It was the 2001 Spiel des Jahres winner. It's I guess to me, it's the quintessential tile laying game, right?
Yeah.
Like this is sort of the grand. If Kalis is the granddaddy of worker placement, this is the granddaddy of tile placement.
What's the granddaddy of area control? Sorry, we'll move on.
No, actually, I kind of like this thought experiment. We'll come back to that. So the base game plays 2 to 5 players. It's ranked 128th all time on BGG. The BGG says the community thinks it's best with 2 players. I want to come back to that because I think that's interesting. But basically the idea behind it, if you haven't played it, is on your turn, you have 1 tile, you play it someplace legal. Then if you're allowed, you put a meeple on something on the tile you just played. And then if the tile you just played completes a thing that you already have a meeple on, whether you just played it or not, you get points for it and you get the meeple back. Rinse and repeat till you run out of tiles. That's literally Carcassonne, right?
That's the thing.
That's the whole game. So it's super easy from a conceptual standpoint to introduce people to, which might make this one of the best quote unquote gateway games going, because I literally just explained everything except scoring.
Yep.
Right. I did it with half a thought in about a minute. So
That's an easy teach. Yeah.
So I guess, does this game hold up? I want to start with that. Like, is this a game that is still worthy of its spot 16 years later? What do you think? Brandon, what do you think?
We're going to anger people.
No,
I'm not going to anger people because I think it's worth it. Corinne's and I, that's kind of was our gateway drug into board gaming, so to speak. We play it a lot of 2-player.
How is it different?
I don't know. What's that?
How's it different with 2?
It's really not.
Okay.
There's not really any difference to it, 2 or 4. It's just less people fighting over things.
I think I disagree. I think it absolutely is different.
Fundamentally, yes, maybe there are differences in strategy and you do things differently. It plays exactly the same.
Yeah, mechanically it plays the same.
Mechanically, there's no differences.
What I was getting at.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a great, and we don't even play it with base anymore though. So we play like the big epic ones with like three of the expansions in there because I don't want to separate stuff anymore. But yeah, it holds up well. It's just a basic tile placement game, but it's good for those times when you just want to sit, you want to talk, you want to be a jerk to your spouse, and
right. So
it is a jerky game.
Yeah, well, it can be, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's round the table here. Brandon still likes the game a lot and plays with a few expansions every time. Kimberly, do you play it still?
I have not played it on the table probably in nearly a year. It's a game that I definitely don't mind playing, though. It's one of the few that my dad likes.
Okay.
So I usually play it at least once a year.
Okay, gotcha. And do you feel like it holds up? Do you play base or do you play with any expansions? Or
usually with expansions.
Okay.
With my dad, usually just base because I don't want to teach him every other time. Too much for him. It's enjoyable still. I like it. It just isn't the first thing I pull off the shelf. I'll always have a little bit of a soft spot for it. It was one of my first hobby games. So
very cool. Patrick, how about you?
I would say I enjoy playing it. I think I don't play it on the table hardly ever now that I have apps available. So I'll just play an app against a computer and still play it, but that keeps me from reaching for it.
Okay. Do you play with on the app? Do you have expansions for it? Because there are in-app purchases for days in that app, right?
Like you can 1 or 2. I don't really know any of the expansions, so I don't get them.
Okay.
I'm just pretty happy with the basic game.
So I played it today. I pulled out and Carcassonne has a really soft spot for me as well, but for a really off the beaten path reason. The only year I ever went to Essen was 2001. And so I bought it when I was at Essen in 2001. And so I think it is one of my oldest hobby games in my collection because it's one of the few games that has made it through that far of a distance. I have never played with any expansions except the river ever. So I can only speak.
That's built in now, so I just considered that.
Yeah, well, and it's not built into the copy that I have because I still have the old 2001 version. So I never even I don't own that. But I also own it in app format because I have an iPhone and an iPad. So I own it there as well. And I definitely play it on there occasionally. I just taught it to 2 people. Molly and my friend Neil both played it for the first time today. Molly, I think, had played it in app format, but she hadn't played the cardboard version and needed some reminders. And Neil had never played it all. And I think it definitely holds up very well. I think it's the most interesting to me of the gateway games that we currently think about. It's the one that was me. Sorry. That it's the one that I think is still the most interesting because there is more depth without more mechanics in that game than most of the games I think of in that.
There's more meat to it than say the Ticket to Ride where you're just drawing cards and collecting sets. There's more depth to it.
Right. For sure. for sure. I think that I want to, so before we go too far afield, I want to start with talking about the player count thing because we already brought this up. I very much prefer this game at 2. I think it's fine at 3. I don't ever want to play it at 4 or 5. Like, this is a game that, to me, if I have more than 3 people, I will reach for 20 other games on my shelf before I'll go for Carcassonne. But if I have 2 or 3, this is one of my go-tos. Like, if I have somebody that wants to play a game, this is one of the go-tos I will go with. So, and you play it, you said at 2 and at 4, right, Brandon? Those are the 2 counts that tend to happen.
I'll play it at any count, really.
But I mean, those are the ones that are commonly hit.
Predominantly are 2 or 3, basically, because it's either me and Corinza or Gabby, Corinza and I.
Okay.
Yeah, Annabeth hasn't wanted to jump into it yet, and Brad and Kate aren't big into it. So, and it's nothing. I don't take it to game day by any means. I honestly just don't think anybody would play it with me, and if I took it. But yeah, it's a stay-at-home game.
Okay, why? I think that why, because there's always new stuff people want to play, or because it doesn't.
That's part
fit.
of it, yeah, and it also just doesn't fit very well with our group. And plus, it's just a comfort game for me for a lot of reasons. It just, it's something that we don't know what to bring out. I'm gonna play Carc with Corinza.
All right,
That makes sense.
Huh. It does, but it also seems a little sad, right? And it's part of why I think this deep dive thing is going to be fun, because it's a really good game.
It is,
and it does have depth. So the fact that we don't like take it to game days,
and maybe I shouldn't think that way, because what were they playing at game day the other day? They were playing Mexica, and they were playing the other one in the trilogy. So I mean, they play not Tikal, the 4th one,
Java?
the one that's not really part of the trilogy. That's Torres. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost spit my water out with you saying the 4th one.
It is. It's the 4th one in the trilogy. It's like, the Douglas Adams.
So long and thanks for all the fish. Yeah, there you go.
It is.
Don't make me laugh when I'm drinking water.
But
gotcha.
And I shouldn't sell it short, but I just don't think it has what is going to make people say, yeah, we'll play that. But I sell it short. Maybe it would. Or sell my group short.
Well, or maybe, yeah, boy, I don't know. To me, so when I pack a bag of games to take to a game day or whatever, there's always one game I'm currently obsessed with, right? And that's the game that always gets into my bag first, whatever it is. For a while there, it was Terraforming Mars. Lately, it's been High Frontier. There's always a game that I'm going to throw in there just because in a perfect world, I will be the happiest camper if I get to play it. Mm-hmm. Then I try to pick a couple things that I know are going to match the likely player count of the table I'm going to be sitting at, and things that I think play really well at that. And then my third criteria is always something new, something old. Like I try to take a classic and I try to take a new thing. Those are sort of the 3 boxes that I tick when I pack a bag of games. But Carcassonne is also not one of them that I grab, and that's weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird.
What Paul in the chat brought up Isle of Skye. I can't count the number of times I've taken Isle of Skye versus 0 times I've taken Carc in the last year. So,
well, and we're seeing. I'm looking in the chat, and this is. I know that everybody in the chat can see this stuff, but this is for the people that view the show afterwards and don't get to see the live chat. We have a lot of people that are saying that are giving other examples of better games. Or at least what they consider to be better games. And a couple of them are kind of halfway joking. Like, I would not consider Terraforming Mars a tile laying game, even though you play tiles onto a map. Yes, thanks, Paul. Mm-hmm. But
he has no stake in the game, does he?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he would be partial to that. But Isle of Skye has been brought up. I don't know.
I think is a completely different game, but that's another topic. So,
and that's part of it too, right? You have to, I mean, we can't just always innovate. You also have to iterate, right? Like you have to take a base that has been built somewhere and theoretically do things with it. Mm-hmm. That's why we said granddaddy of tile laying games. I think Carcassonne is that base, right? And that's also why I haven't done the math, but I think there are something like 4.5 kabillion expansions for Carcassonne.
You may be off by a billion or so.
Yeah, by 1 kabillion. I don't know.
In the percentage of things, it's really close.
So they have 5 big box expansions, okay? And I would just like to point out that each big box has how many expansions? Has how many small ones in it?
Usually
something
3.
Like 3?
2 or 3,
least?
yeah.
2 or 3.
Wow.
So there's 5 big boxes. So that's 15 small expansions plus promos that exist, plus expansions that haven't been lumped into big boxes yet. That's banana pants.
And
Like
just
you,
completely different versions, like Star Wars Carcassonne.
oh, and Hunters and Gatherers, which I would argue, to me, Hunters and Gatherers is the best of all of the. Like that is the one that I like.
I've not played that one.
I like that one because some of the tiles have weird icons that let you do fun things. And there's like a set collection dealio where the fields score differently, which I think is really neat. But I really like that one. But the fact that there is so much expansion that has been done in this game tells me that obviously it's not just a foundation, but it's a system, right? Like is it fair to call this not just a game, but a game system? Is that
System
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
there's enough variation to just come along. Yeah.
Yeah. So this feels like Dominion, right? Like Dominion is another game that I think of as more of a system and less as an independent game, because I feel like if you like Dominion, you don't just buy Dominion and play Dominion. You buy Dominion and then you buy, again, expansions for days.
Right.
And and expansions for days. Sorry, go ahead.
Catan was the same way originally, right? Like Catan, it was Catan, and then there was everything else in the world, and still is. I would argue. So I just, Age of Steam. I know that there's a joke in the chat. Matt's talking about Age of Steam being a tile laying game. Not so much, but it's.
You lay tiles?
Yes. You lay tiles in The Colonists too. I do not think that is a tile laying game, sir.
I bet it's in there.
I think, oh boy. But I mean, you talk like Age of Steam is another system game, is where I'm going.
It is. Yes.
And I think
I will quit hassling.
No. I just I'm not pulling my thought together well here, but I think those system style games are really fascinating because they only exist when the mechanics itself are deep enough to allow for it. And I think Carcassonne ticks that box really nicely because the mechanics are solid enough because they're so simple, but yet there's so much room for play in there. Because all you have to do is really change what tiles you're drawing out of the bag, and you change everything about that game, right? Like basically the bits are almost the same. All you need is new art, and you can design an entirely new game without having to teach people stuff. It just works really well. I don't know. So having said that, okay, which expansions do you play with? Brandon, you said you always play with a couple, right?
Inns and Cathedrals. Now I'm going to forget the Traders and
Builders. Isn't that what it's called?
And then we also use the King.
So I almost blurted out the King in Yellow.
No, it's not the
not
King
that
in
because
Yellow.
that would be a HP Lovecraft thing, and I think that would be fun if there was a Lovecraft version.
It's the one that really could be jerkier, make it even jerkier.
Princess and Dragon's pretty jerky. That's the only
Is
one.
it? No, we haven't tried. I haven't picked that one up yet. And
King and Scout, sir.
There you go.
Because I happen to have the BGG paper.
The Count, the King, and the Robber.
Count, the King, and the Robber is what you're thinking of, all right?
And maybe it's been recalled something different in a newer iteration. So, because that's what I have is the Count, King, and Robber.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing that in here, but what do I know? I'm also trying to wade through. Oh, I wonder if each of those is like a different mini expansion that kind of combined into one thing.
I think that's what it is. They were the mini ones.
Okay.
Which you didn't even hit the little mini box ones that were just a cube box that had 9 tiles that they sold forever.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's how the river started, right?
Yep.
Like that's what the river was originally. It was basically a promo.
Yep.
It was I remember not buying it because it was available. And I was like, I don't need that. And it's so dumb. So dumb. How about you, Kimberly? Which expansions do you play with when you play with this?
I play with the Traders and Builders and the Inns and Cathedrals. Those are the only ones I own.
Okay. Those sound like the sort of go-tos that I feel like I've heard everybody talk about.
I think that those are literally, I'm pretty sure at some point I legitimately tweeted which Carcassonne expansions should we own. I only want to own a couple, and these were by and large the ones that people suggested. So
Okay. Gotcha. Patrick?
Like I said, I only have only play with the base game normally. I do have the ultimate and stupid. You guys see
what?
this one?
The catapult.
The catapult. Yes.
I've heard about this, and I was going to ask you about it actually.
Yes, I'm. You know me and my toys, so I had to pick that up just to be able to fling meeples.
Wait, you fling the meeples?
Yes.
I need to know more about this, and you
Yeah,
also
that's-
need to bring this to Origins for me.
Yeah, that I can do. There's like a little bullseye, and you fling the meeples, and you try to get them on. It's kind of like a circus theme to it. Pretty silly.
I'm into it.
How about the
There will be alcohol involved.
I was gonna say that's
No.
that's a late night drunk game if ever there's
just
been one.
Once you get me sleep deprived, you don't need to give me any alcohol. It's just as bad.
Yep.
That's true. There's what about the Wheel of Fortune? Has anybody played that one?
I have not.
That's a thing.
No, I haven't.
Yes,
I've
there
heard of
is
that
a
one, yeah.
yeah. So there is a spinner. It basically adds a spinner.
Oh my god, people hate spinners.
Yes, I do not hate spinners. Thank you.
I hope there's
But-
one that adds a popper because I love those.
Oh, the Pop-O-Matic Carcassonne would be great, and by great I mean terrible.
Yes.
But yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I like about Carcassonne is I like that there is. I don't want if I'm grabbing Carcassonne, I don't want a heavy game, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to like if I'm in the mood for Carcassonne, then I'm in the mood for something pretty chill, and I feel like the base game delivers that level of chill, which is why I've never bought an expansion, because to me the expansions are just going to add complexity, and this is not a game that I grab for when I want complexity.
I mean, people always argue about whether or not they should have the farmers in the base game, let alone adding stuff to it.
Well, can we talk about the farmers?
Well,
Yes.
they keep the farmers, don't they? But they change the way they score, I thought.
So some people play without the farmers. That's an option in the app.
Wow.
That
No
would be
farmers.
boring as hell.
No
I don't
kidding.
know how to score
What do
the
you do with all your
farmers.
extra meeples?
Okay, so first let's talk about the history of the game and the farmer debacle when this first came over. Can we talk about this? Do you guys remember this?
I don't remember it. You're going to have to tell me it.
Okay, so when Rio Grande Games and when Jay Thomason brought Carcassonne over to the States back, and remember this is very early in the idea of anybody bringing games to the US. So Rio Grande was one of the only companies doing this, period, full stop at that point. Mayfair was doing it, but they weren't actually printing English versions of it. They were literally just printing an English rule book and shrink wrapping it in the box. Like they would crack the shrink, put an English rule book in and reshrink it. And that was what they did. So, but they weren't doing English printings of anything at this point. And Jay did a full reprint in English of this game and changed farmer scoring.
Okay.
And it was fundamentally different than the way that the rules had been originally written. And Matt, friends in the chat, just mentioned it's either 3 or 4 points for farmers. The problem wasn't the way that farmers scored in the English version that Jay made was jacked compared to the original. So the original, for those of you that don't know, is you figure out a field and then you decide who owns that field. So it's an enclosed space of green, and then whoever owns that field scores 3 points for every completed city that is adjacent to that field. That's the version that we all know and love, right? The English version was you pick a city and then you look at all the fields, a completed city, and look at all the fields adjacent to that city, and the owner of each field got 4 points or something like that. But the way that they explained it confused literally everybody. And it just made, and I'm probably not even explaining it correctly because it's probably even more bonkers than that. But it was just flat out wrong. And so there was a big debacle when it got brought over because nobody could decide what the real scoring version was. So in like the next printing, they said, okay, here are the two scoring methods. There's the original and then there's the American scoring version. Which one do you want to play? Not any better. Just pick one, right? Like, I don't care which one it is. Just explain it in a way that's meaningful. And to this day, people still don't understand farmers in the game, which is why I think it gets dropped from the game.
Yeah.
Because, it's not that hard.
No.
Right?
It's just the most difficult thing to explain about the scoring.
Mhm.
So
I think
why bother?
Yeah, I think it's only difficult because it's hard to see what a completed field looks like.
Yeah.
Like tracing that field can be complex, I think, but it's not.
Especially if you're playing with 3 or 4 expansions in there and those maps get huge. And
Yeah.
I know there's mistakes made, so some people just probably don't want to mess with it.
It's also a swingy big end game
Yeah.
score thing where people like to just kind of know where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess that's and maybe that's
I
a
think it's
fact.
pretty easy to track, no? Do you think it's I don't consider it a swingy thing. I know exactly how many points I'm getting and however the other people around me are getting close to the end of the game at least.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that not everybody maybe has the vision that you have in that case, Kimberly, because I don't ever feel like I can anticipate farmers scoring well. I feel like I know I'm winning this field. It is huge. It has a lot of cities on it. I will do okay in end game scoring, but I definitely don't. I'm never able to look at the game and go, oh yeah, I've got another 20 points coming. So even though I'm a little bit behind, I know I'll catch up. Like I definitely can't see it that far, but that might just be me and versus you too.
My ability to track just might be me.
Right. Yeah. It's one of the, and you know, I mean, that's how gaming works for everybody, right? Like everybody's got their strengths.
Farmer, that's kind of my go-to thing as I try to accidentally clump myself into somebody else's field and screw them.
Accidentally. Oh, looky there.
Nice. Yeah. By the way, as far as I know, farmers were always only end game scoring.
Yeah.
I'm addressing the chat room because there was a couple questions about this. Yeah. So, so Carcassonne was the first game that I feel like bringing it over to America was a debacle. Like, and I hate to use that word, right? But it was the first time that I feel like somebody really like altered the game, and the backlash of that caused probably the more faithful translations that we get now. Because I think maybe then it was like, well, this will just be my version of this game. Yeah. And that did not fly. Right. Like it was just not a thing that was going to happen, which is fine. You know, you have to try stuff. There's no way to, you know, and Jay probably, you know, no hate on Jay Tummelson whatsoever. Mm-hmm. You know, he probably tried it and it just didn't work. So I don't know. Yeah, I remember. Oh, this is another good thing that Carcassonne does. So we've talked on this show a long time ago about games like No Thanks. I'll use this as an example where you have exactly one decision point, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have one thing you can do. Carcassonne isn't much farther than that in my brain because you have one tile. You're going to play this one tile. And half the board, it's not playable anyway, right? So then it becomes your decisions are artificially limited by that one tile you get dealt out of the bag. Is that a strength or a weakness, do you think, of the game? Like, anyone? Hello?
I mean, I think it's such a simple game that little bit of luck is fine. I think it's very easily mitigated. You can also use your tiles to do bad things to other people.
Right.
Yeah, it's usually more than one place for you to play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more than one, but my point is because of the nature of what the tile is.
Right.
It, you know, like you might be
plan ahead.
Yeah. By the way, you draw your tile at the end of the turn, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yep. We draw up at the end of the turn so
you can know what's coming.
Do. You know how I am. I like to play games quickly, so.
Yes.
Lay the bleeping tile.
Yes, exactly. So when I first played Carcassonne, the fact that I only had one tile and there was luck of the draw bothered me a lot.
Really?
It bugged me. And I immediately played with a house rule of you'd have two tiles, play the one you want. Like almost instantly. And it was because that's how the game was taught to me as well. Like not taught to me, but the people that I played the game with, that was their idea as well. It's like, we don't like the fact that you only get one tile, so here's two. And at the time, I wanted that extra decision, but that was because at the time, I hadn't fully formulated my taste in games yet either, right? Like, that was really early in the process. So I think looking back on it now, I can't imagine wanting to play that way, right? Like that would just make me crazy. But I guess I just wondered if the simplicity of the decision tree was something that is a plus or a minus for the game.
It's a plus, I think.
Yeah.
It has to be because that's Carcassonne.
Mhm.
It's draw a tile, play a tile. I don't want to draw a tile and then maybe put it back or maybe swap it with another one and find different ways to do things. I want to draw a tile and I want to find the best placement for me at that point in time in the game and play it.
Okay. So to you, it's too fundamental to the game to be a thing you could even consider changing.
No, I would never change it, except by adding 14 expansions on top of it.
Which I need to play with some of these expansions just once. Like I don't know.
They don't fundamentally change anything except scoring. Well, yeah, there's some that will screw your neighbor a little bit and move things around. But
and apparently there's a little wooden catapult you can fling meeples at the board with.
Yes, it does become a dex.
Try that out. Tired me is gonna fling meeples all over the place.
I mean, we could just sit back and chuck the meeples at the board and see. Cool.
It's like Dungeon
but
Fighter.
Flinging them will be so much more entertaining.
Yeah.
Has anybody played with the tower?
No.
So the tower was a quote unquote expansion that I think is just like literally a thing to stack the tiles in that sits next to the board.
Never even heard of that.
Quite possibly.
I think that's literally all it is. But I was curious about that because if that's what it is, right? Like if it's literally just a thing to make the game better, that might be the one I'd buy. Because the tiles that makes I don't know why.
Like some fancy coasters or something.
Well, yeah, I'm getting those too. Shut up. Where I'm going to put my meeples when I'm playing, sir. Damn it! Don't make fun of my fancy coasters.
I'm just doing a callback thing.
Yes.
Now I've played the castle, which I think is the
2-player version.
That's the standalone 2-player, right? I have played that one. I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that one. I like Hunters and Gatherers, as I talked about. I really like Star Wars Carcassonne. I think is the prettiest of all of them, and I didn't like it at all. Sorry, Kathleen.
The stickers are ridiculous, I think, but other than that, I like it.
Yeah, it's not even the stickers. It's just I don't want to roll dice.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to roll dice and have combat in Carcassonne. Like I get that it's thematically for Star Wars, it's great. I don't want to do that with that game. I don't know. That's just me. All right, wait. Something's being asked of me in the question. Run into what? Not be able to play a tile at all? Yes, it is possible that a tile can be completely unplayable.
Yes.
I don't believe I've ever run into that in my 30-ish plays of the game, but I see how it could be.
Yeah, I don't remember ever not being able to play something somewhere, even if it just doesn't help you.
Right.
It is extremely unlikely, but it is possible. The reason that it's possible,
it is possible.
Yeah.
The reason that it's possible is because there is a tile in the game that is city on all four sides.
Yes.
And it's very easy for there to be no externally facing cities.
That's my favorite one to hurt somebody else with.
Oh, sure, because it makes it so their city will literally never complete ever.
Especially if you're playing with more than two people. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more difficult.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I don't know if you get to pitch and draw back or not. I actually don't remember.
I would house rule it as toss it back and try again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess.
Personally.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or draw again and then toss it back, so that way because I would be that guy that would draw the same tile 6 times in a row because that's how my luck works. Like this, damn it. But yeah, so totes butt.
It's totally butt.
Jesus, holy crap!
Oh,
our chat room is ridiculous, folks. So, okay, so in a nutshell, because we're coming, and because my friend Kimberly has taught me that I must watch the clock at all times and keep things exactly on schedule. In total, if somebody was getting into the gaming hobby now, do you recommend this game still, or are there other things you recommend in its spot? Like, what do you think?
Who's going to start?
You know what? I'll start and give you guys a chance to formulate your opinions.
Why don't we go alphabetically and then
Sure.
That way.
There you go. That works. And that way you're third. That's good. So for me, this is not a game that I would think of to start people with. This would be the second thing I would think of, because this would be a game that I would suggest to people once they are already trying to get more people to play games with them, right? Like this is the game that I in wave 2, because then they can, if they really like it, then they can buy expansions and ramp it up at their leisure. But I would want them to be comfortable with the hobby first, would be where I would start. But having said that, I really, on the Cubist scale, this is still a buy it for me. I am very glad this is in my collection. I do not feel like I need to own expansions because I like its simplicity and its short playtime and the fact that I can explain all of the rules in 90 seconds. I don't want it to be any deeper than that, but for me, this is still a buy it. So, Brandon, because we are going alphabetically, you are second.
Okay. If I were to put a list together of top 5 gateway games, which would be my advice to anyone to buy if you're going to start playing board games, these are the 5 games I would do. Carcassonne would probably be 1 or 2.
Okay.
I think it's that ease of teaching, of just pull up tile, play a tile, and the tactile or the seeing the thing build in front of you and everything like that. I think that draws people and helps them. Maybe it works just for me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just love building this huge blob of a map and doing things. But I think it's something that appeals to people. And so just the ease of it and everything like that gets past that wonky farmer scoring, which is really the only wonky thing in the game. So I would always, besides the fact I don't like Ticket to Ride, I always recommend it before that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I'd recommend everything. Sorry. That's just me. Sorry, grumpy guy.
Ticket to Ride is still in my top 5.
Yeah. Well, you're allowed to be wrong. It's fine.
I know.
All right. So, in Cubist terms, do you still think of Carcassonne?
I still think it's a buy it.
Okay. Still belongs in people's collections.
It does.
Very good. Kimberly?
Yes, sir. I still, on a fairly regular basis, to newish gamers, because I teach a lot of kids games at my daughter's school that I work at, I recommend Carcassonne frequently. So for me, it is still a solid buy it. Sometimes I do suggest Lanterns or Little Prince, Make Me a Planet. Those are my alternative tile line games, depending on who I'm speaking to, though. Okay.
Is this as tile laying games go or as gateway games period go?
Both.
Okay.
I have, like Brandon said, like a handful of games that I suggest that people try or buy to begin with. And if they have smaller kids, I usually go with Little Prince. If they like a little bit more, I don't know the best way to put it, like abstracty games, I will usually recommend Lanterns. Like if it's somebody who has only ever played chess, probably recommend Lanterns over Carcassonne. But Carcassonne is usually my go-to.
Very cool. Patrick?
Yeah, I definitely recommend Carcassonne to people a lot, especially over older entry level, what are considered entry. Like somebody said the other day, they played. Sorry, what's the trading on the island game?
Trading in the Mediterranean.
Sorry, Catan the other day is an entry level game.
Wow,
like
that's the one you couldn't come up with?
Yeah,
Holy
I know.
Crap.
And I just as you know, same age, same sort of entry level games, and I was like, that is not an entry level game. That's got much more negotiation, much more stuff going on for what people consider it as an entry level game. That is not. That's a gamerly game. Where this is, I think, a good entry level game that has room to grow. So I've definitely steered people towards this, even more recently.
Wow, that's Now I really want. I think we might have just shot Catan up to near the top of the deep dive list, because I really want, I want to pick your brain on why you don't think it's an entry level game, because I absolutely think
deep dive on that very well. I've only played it one time.
Well, you have time, and I'll bet you $1 that Matt has access to it.
Doesn't mean I want to play it.
What are we talking about? Wanting to play Catan?
Catan, yes.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be played. Anyway,
I see. This is you guys are giving me even more ammo on why I think we need to talk about this game. I'm serious, because I think that it's a classic for a reason.
It's a game where your most important decision is made in the first 1 minute of your playtime.
Oh boy!
Oh my goodness! All right,
you know what?
Boy,
I'm gonna
remind me to play this game.
I'm gonna bring Alex Kevern onto the show. and have him just school you 8 ways from Sunday on how wrong you just were.
I am not wrong.
Oh,
That's the
boy.
most important place where your placement is the most important thing. You will do that entire game.
All right. Everything that these people are saying is insanity, folks. Don't listen to any of that. That 3 minutes is all a bunch of BS.
Okay, before you move on and everything, I want to ask everybody what you've moved on to as far as a favorite tile laying game. What has Carcassonne grown into for you?
Right. Has anything replaced it?
Yeah.
Can I be 100% honest?
Yeah.
I don't really dig tile placement games all that much. Like, I really don't. Which is weird because in general, I like games where I see a physical sense of accomplishment on the table in front of me when I'm done. And Carcassonne should be that in spades.
Yeah.
But
any tile placement game should be that in spades because you're building something physically.
Right. And yet, for some reason, this particular tile laying has never been a thing that I really am super geeked about.
Well, Bill, Eclipse is a tile placement.
Yes, it is.
BGG, so go with that.
Yep. Are there any real true just tile placement games anymore? Because that's literally what it is, what Carcassonne is. Everything else just uses tile placement as something else. I would argue guy brings auctioning. I
would argue that King Domino is
it's basically an auction, or not an auction. It's a selection or whatever you want to call it.
I don't know. I think Suburbia is pretty pure tile.
Yeah.
You buy a tile and you build it. And you score off how you place it.
Mad King Ludwig too, sort of.
Yeah.
But that once again goes into that. It's not really the auction; it's the pricing that.
Okay, but wait a second. But Carcassonne isn't just the tiles; it's also the meeple placement on the tile. And
it is, but you just
I mean, you can make an argument that unless literally the game is only here's a tile, slap it on the table, you're done. Right? All games have some other aspect to it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That was another tile laying one. I really didn't care for Cacao. I know I was among.
Oh,
I like Cacao, and especially if there's volcanoes in it.
You were the reason I bought it, Brandon.
Sorry. I like Cacao.
I think Brandon in the chat said Between Two Cities. I think that's a pretty good.
That's a good
one
one.
of my favorites. Yeah.
Ben in the chat mentioned the San Francisco cable car or Metro. Those are pretty good pure tile.
Glenmore,
Glenmore's good. Yeah.
Beautiful one. Ginkopolis is my favorite, but it has so many other different things going. Carson City is ultimately a tile placement game as well. I don't know. I love tile placement.
See, it's not you that swore this time, Kimberly. Good job.
I think I've only done it one time in like
That's
20 shows.
And I hate Suro.
Oh, he was any tile placement. That's right. It's like many cards. You hate Zero. Oh man.
Suro.
I want to back up and pick Cacao because I really like Cacao.
So do I.
Am I the only person that thought Cacao was like the ridiculously light?
It is light. With the base game of Cacao is Carcassonne light.
I thought it was significantly lighter than Carcassonne.
I think that the screwage level in Cacao is every bit as strong as it is in Carcassonne.
I just didn't ever get that. And I tried it with different groups and different player counts, and I just did not do it for me. So I sold it.
Yeah. No, I own it. And actually the debacle of me trying to get all the promos is a well-documented one of me. I have the volcano expansion went to the United Arab Emirates before it got to me. From Lord, I really like it. I really like Cacao. I even like it. Paul in the chat says he likes it with the expansions. I think I like it even base game, but I do think that after I play the base game, I immediately want to show people the next stuff, right? Like that's the one where I want to be like, okay, cool. Now you know how to play. Awesome. Here's all of this. Go.
Throw in chocolate and throw in the volcano and you're good to go.
Yep. Or at least just the volcano. Even if you'd skip Chocolato, the volcano's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. So
So there's another new one, but Kerala is a new one that kind of should have gotten a little bit of Spiel des Jahres buzz. It's just a basic tile placement game where you're trying to connect colors. He was
like that.
Oh, and by the way, I just want to go on record as saying that the whole calling, if you click on tile placement on BGG and then you look at the games that it thinks are tile placement.
What's number one? Is Twilight Struggle?
Yeah. Great Western Trail is not a tile. I mean, yes, you put tiles on a board. That is not a tile placement game. Inish, A Feast for Odin, not a tile placement game. It has a spatial element, but that's not the same thing. Brr.
But isn't that just like grown-up patchwork? So it is tile placement, right? Aren't you patchworking things together in it? I don't know. I've not played A Feast for Odin. I won't touch
Yes,
it. So.
yes, you place tiles, but that doesn't make it tile placement. That's different. I think.
No, I can't think of any game right now that I would say is tile placement above anything else.
Okay.
Can you? That's kind of hot.
No.
Not hot. I would say Isle of Skye is the closest.
Yeah.
I think
It was
Sky and Lanterns are the closest.
Yeah, lanterns.
Yeah, I don't think. See, I've only played Lantern in app format. I've never played it cardboard, so I guess I've never. I don't think of it that way. But yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. What I do know is that this was a lot of fun, and we definitely. You're going to have to play Catan, Kimberly. That's just how this works.
Matt said he's selling his this weekend.
Well, then I guess you have 5 days. Make it happen.
Oh.
Make it happen.
Just
you'll be fine. I believe
everybody
in
and their uncle has a copy to let him get rid of it. Just
seriously, you should at least, if you've never played it, you should play it. Even if you end up not liking it. Oh, okay.
I played it that one time at BGG the day after whiskey for dinner night.
Oh, Lord.
They had to prop me up on the table. And I was falling asleep during my turns. It's when I was supposed to go to Heart 8 with Patrick and Travis. And I was like, no.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you didn't get a great impression of it. It's shocking that you didn't instantly fall in love with a game where you were nearly dying while playing it.
I don't like negotiation in general, but we'll see.
All right.
I'll see if I can coerce somebody into playing it with me again.
Paul, I don't think it's that bad. Paul says don't play with 3. It's not ideal with 3, but I don't think it's that bad.
How many people should I play it with, Paul?
4. He wants you to play with 4. If he doesn't want to play with 3, it only plays 3 or 4. So there you go.
Oh.
that would be.
No, you can get the expansions to 5 and 6, can't you?
Yeah, but I'm saying the base game. And dear Lord, are we not going to dial it that far up in your first play? That does not seem like a good. That doesn't seem like a good idea. But all right,
find 3 other poor people to play Catan with me. Got it. Noted.
Yes, 2 because you're going to make Matt be one of them. Oh, there you go. And he's got 5 and 6. You're all set. See, you're ready to rock and roll. You got this. You can. This is going to be fun. I'm serious. I might get Alex on the show because Alex is like a world qualifier Catan player.
Oh, he is? I didn't know
Yes.
So he's good at making decisions within 1 minute of the game.
You know what? He owes me. He maybe not owes me a solid, but I can call in a favor. We're going to get Alex Kevin on the show. Damn it, this is happening.
Matt Franz is trying to think of Kodama in the chat.
Kodama.
Japanese tree game that starts with a K. Kodama.
Karuba.
No,
Kodama. There's a Kodama or Karuba. There's a tile placement game.
Oh my goodness, Karuba is the tile laying game now.
Yeah, thank you. I knew I wasn't on crack. I had that right.
Yep.
And Kodama is a card placement game, not a tile placement game.
But I mean,
come on,
same base.
No, you know what? If we're gonna make distinctions about all this other goofy crap, then it's not
card
tiles doesn't count.
Completely different than tiles. Cards,
yes, they're thinner.
Exactly.
You can't. Kimberly is literally this is so much eye rolling all at once.
Did we really talk about anything in Carcassonne strategy wise?
Yeah, be a dick.
Play a
As far as
tile.
I can tell, shut up and play a goddamn tile.
Play a tile.
Right. Strategy is play a freaking tile.
There you go.
Make a city.
Okay. I was
Nice.
just curious. I didn't.
I don't know. You know what? I think that the strategy in Carcassonne is emergent enough that I don't feel like. I think as long you play base game once and you're going to have your brain around it instantly, right?
Yeah.
You just got to make sure that you remember. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up. So I want you guys that are watching to do me a couple favors. All right. Number one, I want you to remember the hashtag deep dive. And if you have ideas for games that you would like to see us cover in this manner in the future, please use that hashtag on Twitter. You can email the cubistpodcast@gmail.com. You can ping any one of us on all the social media things, which we will go through in a minute.
Tell Bill that we should talk about less in the beginning if you really want us to deep dive.
Will you stop? Stop. The beginning is not non-negotiable. No. Boo.
Deep dive.
Quiet you. She just doesn't like talking about games. All right. Brandon, yeah, whatever.
What are those claws going
Yeah, I
here?
was gonna say, what are you trying to do? Like, put your beer goggles on? Stop that! All right,
It's supposed to be a heart.
is that what that was? I think it was angry looking. It's like your hands are like.
I can't tell you how many times I've cursed at that last tile I draw from Carcassonne. It causes Tourette's.
Jesus, Brandon, if people want to know more about you and the things that you do, where do they look online?
They should first go to their shrink and have a nice sit down talk and discuss why they want to know more about what I play. You can find me on the What Did You Play This Week podcast. On social media, I am VacaBZK on all things, or WDYPTW, because I love just putting letters together and making them make sense. But I can't call it an acronym, apparently, because acronyms are supposed to be words, right?
No, that's an initialism, sir.
Okay.
That's the thing. No, I have it backwards. You're right. It is an initialism. It's an initialism if it isn't a word. It's an acronym.
If it isn't a word. Yeah, so I don't make acronyms.
You make initialisms. There you go. Which I didn't even know was a word until recently. Kimberly.
Yeah, girl.
I'm just going to let the camera focus on you. Try that again. Kimberly, if people want to know more about you.
At KJ Review on Twitter and on Instagram. I also run the Granite Game Summit account at G2 Summit and granitegamesummit.com. And you can find us on punchboardmedia.com.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Punchboard Media.
Failed hard.
No, I
am.
Thanks for spoiling my big ending. Nice. Hey, Patrick, how about you?
I am Patrick Hillier, the Over the Hillier Gamer. You can find me on What Did You Play This Week podcast and Twitter at Over the Hillier. That's about it.
And the conversation thing. That's in the same feed.
It's the same thing. That's part of What Did You Play This Week.
Right. But I just wanted to draw attention to it because I think those are really interesting. Like the conversation things where basically it's just a straight up interview. I think those are awesome.
Thank you.
Those are kind of your wheelhouse. Those are great. For me, it's at Bill Corey Jr. on Twitter, at Cubist Podcast is the show. Please hit thecubistpodcast.com. Check out the website. We put up all the content for the show there. There is a merch store. Hang on.
No,
I'm sorry. I'm very thirsty. I would like to have a drink of soda.
Show us the back.
Yes. And then you yourself could have your very own.
Oh, cool.
Burn it mug. This just arrived today. I'm sorry. I'm a little uncomfortable in my chair. Hang on. Oh, there we go. All right, I just did a stretch there. Sorry. All of the fun merch is available right there. There are links across the top at thecubistpodcast.com. There's also a Patreon link if you want to support the show directly and you don't want to have shirts and mugs and things. You can just make a monthly donation there. We appreciate all of the support you guys give. Please hit us up on social media and keep going. We want to hear feedback on the Deep Dive show and all the other shows. So hit us up. And I think that's it. Oh, and Punchboard Media. This is what I was going to say. As we did a quick announcement a couple weeks ago, but this is the first time that we're actually ending a show as a member of Punchboard Media. So our brand new gaming network, of which our own Brandon Kemp is the Aquaman of, so to speak. I don't know. The Justice League thing. Never mind. I failed on the delivery in every way. Chad, I'm sorry. In the chat, really fast, I'm going to answer a couple quick questions. Yes, the shirts are big guy sized. I am a big guy, and they're shirts that fit me very well. Thank you very much. So, and they're actually pretty reasonable. I think the prices aren't bad. I don't know. I think they do all right.
Where'd you get them? Where'd you get them?
Teespring.com is the website that we go through, and easy peasy. So yeah, if you click on the shop link at the top of thecubistpodcast.com, it'll take you straight to the store where you can order all kinds of merch, shirts and hoodies and mugs and things. It's all fun. So anyway, let's get out of here. Thanks you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Chat room, you guys are amazing as always. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will catch you all again next week. Have a great week, and we'll see you in 7. Be good.
Bye.
Peace out. Bye.